You know it's a crazy news cycle when even Michael Cohen, President Trump's former attorney turned backstabber, is defending President Trump against the Wall Street Journal. But in doing so, Cohen made an admission that not many people on the right want to acknowledge. Take a look.
What was your take?
I agreed with him. I've never, not once, and again, over 13 years of being by the man's side, I have never once seen him doodle. I never saw him draw a picture. In fact, I would be very shocked if Donald Trump actually can doodle. It's just not his thing. And the language, using words like enigma, that's not a Donald Trump word. I mean, he certainly knows what the word is, but it's not a word that he uses. I found the whole thing just to be odd. Now, I wouldn't be shocked if somebody had turned around and reached out to the office and said, hey, look, we're putting together a birthday book for Jeffrey. Can Donald doodle something on there? And these are the words that we want you to use in some doodle. He then gave it to an assistant. Many of his assistants were not just good artists, but fabulous artists. And so that's probably what happened at the worst. Now, chances are, I don't know the answer. And that's the whole problem with this entire story. None of us know the answer. If you despise Donald Trump, you want it to be true. If, in fact, you like him and you support him, you want it to be false. Why should any of us have to guess? There's no reason for us to be guessing. And in fact, I agree with kind of what Dan Goldman said. Just release the file. And if you want, I'm more than happy. I'll read the file. As somebody who's been critical of him, let me read the file. I'll come to the American people and tell you exactly what it says in there, because that's what America wants. That's what America needs.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but he was absolutely right there. Now, I've been getting two types of comments on my channel. The first type of comment is basically saying, Daniel, you need to go deeper on this. We want more transparency. Please keep covering the story. And the second comment is, Daniel, please stop covering this. I don't care. It's a non-story. It's another hoax. Now, look, my message to everyone is I think everyone should care about this story. Number one, if you want more transparency, well, the reason is obvious. But even if you're 100% firmly in MAGA, this should be a top priority for you. Yes, I know we should be focused on the economy, trade deals, all the awesome things that Trump is doing. But at the same time, if you were upset about Russiagate, yesterday I made a video, right, about DNI, Tulsi Gabbard, declassifying Obama administration emails and basically implicating Barack Obama as well as the security apparatus in creating the Russiagate hoax so they could destroy President Trump's presidency, right? Well, if you were upset about Russiagate, then you should also be upset about this, because it is happening in real time. And that's why I call myself an independent, because I'm not seeing anyone on the right side of the aisle, anyone in the Republican Party even talk about this, even acknowledge this. It's, people just claiming that President Trump's defamation lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal is a slam dunk, but that is not the case. Like I said here, I think there is a story here for everyone to get behind, for everyone to be curious in the truth. So with all of that being said, I'm really going to make two key arguments in this video. Argument number one, President Trump's defamation lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal is going to be treacherous for everyone involved. And yes, that even includes President Trump. Argument number two is that this story in and of itself indicates that there is currently a mole within President Trump's second administration. Like I said, there is a story here for everyone, no matter where you are on the political spectrum. I doubt anyone is going to agree 100% with what I say, but that's why I'm a free, independent thinker. So let's get started. What really stood out to me, despite the fact that Michael Cohen was obviously defending President Trump against the Wall Street Journal, is that Cohen himself did not dispute that the letter is real. Now, let me be very clear here. Just because the letter is real, that does not mean that the letter is authentic. That does not mean that the letter was actually created, signed, drawn upon by President Trump. Those are two very different things. But what showed that to me was that Michael Cohen, if you rewatch that clip, he explains how, at the very worst, how he thinks that letter could have come about. Basically, his theory was, hey, maybe someone from Epstein's camp called Trump Tower and they asked one of his receptionists, hey, would President Trump be willing to sign this? And basically, as his theory goes, is that, it was just staffers and support that crafted the letter, and that's how it got into the book. But what's important there is that, again, Michael Cohen does not dispute that the letter is real. Again, real is not the same thing as authentic, or as in President Trump is actually behind it. Now, the reason that matters is because President Trump sued the Wall Street Journal, Rupert Murdoch, who, by the way, also owns Fox News, for $10 billion. Now, in order to win a defamation suit, a libel suit as a public figure, the bar for that is very, very high. And I hate to oversimplify, but to win a defamation lawsuit, you essentially have to prove two things. Number one, that a statement was demonstrably false, and number two, that it was made with actual malice. And when you take a look at the Wall Street Journal article, it's clear that it went through multiple rounds of revisions with lawyers looking at it. In fact, this is the key telltale line right here. The letter bearing Trump's name, which was reviewed by the Journal, is bawdy, like others in the album. Now, before we dive deep into that one sentence to show that the Wall Street Journal was very careful to try to make sure that this article was airtight and bulletproof, I want to talk about President Trump's two other lawsuits, recent lawsuits, right? President Trump sued ABC News and he sued CBS News. And the narrative on the right is that President Trump won those lawsuits. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm happy with the results of those lawsuits, but he did not win. That is just factually false. What happened was that both CBS and ABC settled with President Trump. That is different from winning the lawsuit. Neither of those cases made it to trial. What happened is that both of those networks said, hey, we'll pay you X amount of money if you drop the lawsuit. That's exactly what a settlement is, and that's what happened. So why do I bring this up? Well, number one, this is the backdrop in which the Wall Street Journal article was published. It would be very stupid of them. Talk about a total self-own. If they knew President Trump was, filing all these defamation lawsuits, and of course they know that, and they didn't, dot their I's and cross their T's to make sure that their reporting is solid. Now, again, that does not mean that the reporting is accurate. What I'm talking about is from a legal defamation perspective here, okay? And that leads to the second reason why I'm bringing this up, and it's because content creators on the right and MAGA influencers are overpromising and overhyping what this defamation lawsuit is going to do. They're claiming, oh, President Trump is going to sue the Wall Street Journal into bankruptcy. Who knows? He might even own them one of these days. And I believe that sort of overpromising and under-delivering is toxic, and I do believe it is a form of misinformation. So all of that being said, let's get back to that one sentence. And again, it's not just this one sentence, but it is the easiest example to prove how lawyered up this article is. The letter bearing Trump's name. Yeah, they use language like that throughout the entire article. Notice the Wall Street Journal did not say the letter from President Trump. They didn't say that. The letter signed by President Trump. They didn't say that. President Trump drew on the letter. They didn't say that. They were very careful in how they phrased everything. You could tell every word there was meticulous. The letter bearing Trump's name. Again, you have to prove that a statement was false, and you have to prove that it was malicious. A letter bearing Trump's name. I mean, we know that the letter exists in some form. Now, the letter might not be accurate, it might not be authentic, but it clearly exists, whether it's a plant, whether it's fake. And again, just the letter bearing Trump's name. So I want to be very clear. There is a very high bar, a legal bar, to overcome here for the Trump administration, for anyone who is on Trump's legal team. And like I've said many times before on my channel, I come from a family of lawyers and physicians. I have contacts with the DOJ. So I get that I'm just an actor, but I have my resources that I can reach out to verify what I'm saying here. And just to really hit this point home, another example, here's how the Wall Street Journal referred to President Trump's signature. It isn't clear how the letter with Trump's signature was prepared. Again, you have to prove that a statement is demonstrably false. They didn't claim that President Trump signed the letter. They said it was a letter with Trump's signature. And they also said they weren't sure how it was prepared. So they weren't even sure if President Trump himself signed it. Now, of course, as a reader, that's what you infer because you have more than 2 brain cells, right? But that's not what they actually wrote. And when it comes to the law, when it comes to legal cases, they pore over each and every single word. And this matters here. That's why, again, I brought up ABC, CBS, because this article didn't go out in a vacuum. They obviously were very careful with how they presented this to the world. Now, Again, I need to remind people because I know there are going to be very many upset people in the comments. The reason I'm covering this is because I think people are overpromising on this defamation lawsuit. And again, number two, even if you are 100% Camp MAGA, this article does indicate that there is a mole within the Trump administration. So please bear with me. Now, going on to this letter being real, obviously it has to exist in some form for the Wall Street Journal to comment on it. But what's really indicative right here is they claim that this leather book also has letters from Leslie Wexner and Alan Dershowitz. What's interesting to me is that neither of those two people, and they're very public, have stated that they never wrote a letter to Epstein. They never said that, why am I cited in this article? That hasn't come out. Now, it doesn't mean that they won't come out, but it could indicate that part of this binder is real, this leather binder with all the letters. Perhaps President Trump's is fake. I mean, the Biden DOJ, does anyone trust, after all the hands that have touched all this evidence, trust it to be, truly the way it was without any doctoring? Like, people should be skeptical for a reason. But again, this letter, something exists. Now, it's been a few days since this article was published, and neither Dershowitz or Wexner have come out and denounced the article. They've never said that, hey, I didn't send a birthday letter to Epstein. It would not be in this leather binder. Now, of course, they could always come out with a statement today, tomorrow. They could be waiting in case they're called into court to testify. There are many reasons why they may not have made a statement, but that is something to keep an eye out for, right? If either of those two come out and say, I never wrote a letter, then hey, that throws more cold water on this Wall Street Journal article. But as each day goes by that we don't hear a statement or an alternative story from either of those two, it does seem to indicate here that maybe parts of this book are real. But perhaps the most interesting question about this entire article is, how in the world did the Wall Street Journal get this supposed letter? Why publish it now? How did they get it now? Why wasn't it brought up before? And they sort of address this in the article. They write, pages from the leather-bound album assembled before Epstein was first arrested in 2006 are among the documents examined by Justice Department officials who investigated Epstein and Maxwell years ago, according to people who have reviewed the pages. And they keep going in the article. They reference the Justice Department several times, and they reference these documents from the Justice Department. So how did they get access to those documents? Now, it's obvious the Wall Street Journal appears that they don't have a possession of the letter, and that would make sense. And so this indicates to me that someone currently in the Justice Department, or someone who has access to these files, leaked it to the Wall Street Journal. And I know not a lot of people like CNN, but even on CNN, they're talking about a leaker. And like I said earlier, if you were upset about Russiagate, then you certainly should be upset about this, because it would seem to indicate that someone currently in the administration is undermining the administration.
Here's what I think went on here. I'll just cut to the chase. I think somebody leaked this birthday book to the Wall Street Journal with conditions. And by the way, we should find out who that leaker was if they're in the government. Whatever you may think of Trump, whoever may have leaked information that's in a DOJ file, we can't have that. But my theory is they go to the Journal and they say, hey, I'm going to show you this. Not giving you a copy. You can't have it, but I'll show it to you. I'll authenticate it, and you can then run with it. And then the Journal has a decision to make. Are we going to print something without being able to actually show it to the public? And they decided that they would. I don't know that that was the right call. In fact, I think that it wasn't.
This was 100% my opinion when I first read the article, like exactly my thoughts. So I'm so glad that at least someone else out there has said this. Again, it doesn't mean that the Journal is real, right? Because we don't know the chain of custody. We don't know if it was tampered with by the Biden administration. We don't know if, it could be real, but maybe it was created by Ghislaine, right? Maybe it's a plant. Like, there were so many different ways that this binder could have come into existence. But what's also important is who leaked this to the Journal? How did this get to them? And I think that is the bigger story that most people are overlooking. But as always, all of that is just my analysis and commentary. That's what's going on in the world of politics from my point of view, and I would love to hear from you. So, did this video make you change your mind about anything, or did it just really help you confirm why you believe what you believe? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I know a lot of people say this is a non-story, it's a hoax, yada, yada, yada. But to be honest, now that President Trump has sued the Wall Street Journal, this is going to be a story for a very long time. At the very least, until it's either settled or it plays out in court and it actually goes to trial. And I think that people aren't even having the same conversation when it comes to this. I don't think anyone on the right side of the aisle, or not many people, believe Trump is somehow implicated in all of this. What people are upset about is the sudden about-face by the administration. And a lot of people took offense when President Trump called his own supporters past supporters, saying he doesn't want their support just because they're asking for more transparency. They weren't the ones. It was the Democrats who was claiming that Trump is in the list. No, people were just upset because they were promised by people in his administration, people tied to the campaign, and even Trump himself talked about this on Fox News, and he talked about it on podcasts. And so I guess my point here in all of this is that I'm not creating the story here. I am following the story. I'm reporting on what's happening. And then on top of everything, I give my analysis and my commentary. And so if Epstein isn't your cup of tea, totally okay. But I try to be very clear in how I title my videos so that you're aware what the topic is before you click on it. If you haven't already, please be sure to leave me a thumbs up. I know it's a simple thing to ask for, but it really does help me reach more viewers like you in the algorithm. Be sure to smash that subscribe button and to check out one of these videos.